What is up, my tribal people? Welcome back to another episode clip of Pree Da Podcast. And just a reminder that these are only shortened clips. And if you want to listen to the full episode where we talk about way more, make sure you click the first link in the description below. Or alternatively, you can type in Pree Da Podcast on all your audio listening platforms. And if you want to keep up with what goes on behind the scenes, make sure you follow our Instagram at Pree Da Podcast. And now with that out of the way, I'll catch you guys on the other side.
It's sad, but it's a thing. Like, yeah, I don't know if I can say this, but even pay some lecturers to get grades.
That's it. Like, just my son, he's struggling. How can we help him advance? That's those are the terms. How can we help him advance? And then the lecturer will be like, if you could put an advance in my bank account.
I like that.
You are now listening to Pree Da Podcast with your host, Mijaro.
Welcome back to Pree Da Podcast. You guys already know what I'm going to say. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Because we're trying to get to 100 subscribers before the end of the year. And by sharing this with your friends and family, that goes a long way in helping us do that. And now, let's get into it. What's up, people? Welcome back to another episode of Pree Da Podcast. Let's get straight into it. Today, I'm bringing another special guest. Another member of my family tribe. Another member of the bloodline. It's Ibijoke! Confetti everywhere. How you doing?
Hello, I'm great. Thanks for having me here. It's special. Thank you.
So just a little, backstory again. This is my other cousin. I've got loads of cousins everywhere. From my mum's side again. The Makinde tribe, the Makinde clan. The big family. And you've got, very interesting story. I feel like you're one of the most traveled members in our family for sure. Like you've been all over the place. You've been obviously in Nigeria, the UK, Switzerland and France. So, we reconnected a couple of months ago when, your mum came through to Manchester, for my brother's graduation. And then she said, "Oh, have you spoken to Joke?" I was like, "Joke." I was like, that name rings a bell. And then I started to recall all the times that you came to Manchester and you were staying with us for a couple of months. How long did you stay with us?
So, do you know that the first time I came to Manchester, I came straight to your house?
The first
Nigeria.
time?
Yes.
Wow.
So I stayed a few days. And then I had to go to London. And then when I graduated, I came back and I spent a couple of weeks till I found a job and I found an apartment and then I moved out. Oh,
yeah. Yeah, that's like one of the vivid memories of you just living in our house. Let's take it back to Nigeria, the motherland, the motherland. Obviously, I left when I was 6. So I say I'm from Nigeria, but at the same time, I don't think I'm from Nigeria because most of my life has been in the UK now. So I don't feel like I got to experience the family tribe, the politics, the big family weddings, the massive occasions and stuff like that. But you did, and our family is like massive. So what was it like, back in Nigeria during those times with massive family gatherings and obviously our family and our traditions are very respectful, Christian based. It's all about, paying respects to the elders. And that was definitely a massive thing. You got to respect your elders, especially your mum and dad.
Yeah, absolutely. So going back, I'll really go back to when we were a lot younger, like less than 10. It was amazing when you have family gatherings, like you said, like weddings and stuff, and you have everyone around. You just kind of feel safe and everyone is happy and everything is just great and jolly.
The jollof rice is flowing. The jollof rice is rising.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we used to do this thing of like visiting our grandparents because I don't know if you ever met our grandfather.
No, I didn't.
No. Okay, so we used to call him Granddad. And he was just really fun. Like, he was the kind of person, like, when you go in, even as kids, he would, like, really see you.
Yeah.
And talk to you, So he was great. And, of course, with the aunties and the uncles. And funny enough, your mom lived with us as well.
Oh, really?
Her sister.
Yeah.
for years. So it was just nice having everyone around us growing up. And then you just know everyone. One of the brothers, he's late now, Tosin's dad. I don't know if you ever met Tosin. So they are like 7 kids as well, and they live in Ibadan. And it was nice going over to their house because everyone was just there. I don't know how to explain it, but it was just really so much fun. So one particular thing, which I think is one of the best memories I have, is one Christmas we went to Oyo, which is where our grandfather's house is, and everyone was there.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of singing and dancing, and it just felt great, being with everyone.
Yeah.
It's one of the memories that stayed with me. You remember Yemi? He was there with his siblings, and
and it's one of them where like you only really appreciate those experiences obviously when you look back once you've grown and stuff like that. And for me, one of those experiences of our family get-togethers, the massive ones, wasn't in Nigeria. That I remember. The vivid one that I remember was in Canada. I don't think you were able to come to the wedding. It was Topaz's wedding in Canada, and
Tommy's wedding.
Tommy's wedding, yeah, Tommy's wedding in Canada, and literally everyone was there. Yemi, aunties, uncles that I haven't met before, seeing cousins, distant cousins, and it was like a whole week of everyone together in the house. And obviously with celebrities, they've got big families, so you see that in their like little world. But having that for yourself and be like, wow, we all came out, we all took some time to be together. It really does make it special. And I feel like in Nigeria, you need that. It's such a harsh climate at times. I feel like the family unit is still one of the strongest parts of the community in Nigeria for sure.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
No, you go.
No, go on, finish.
I was gonna say, since I left at 6, I only experienced like the first couple of years of primary school, and I remember it being super strict. Like, education is a big thing in the family, in most Nigerian families, to be honest, because it's just seen as the way of bettering your circumstances. It's not 100% foolproof, because I know, some Nigerians have it tough, did everything right, graduated, thinking they're going to get a job afterwards, but it's tough. But do you think like the education system there was rigorous compared to some of the other places you've been to?
So what I would say is you're right, because it's strict. You have very high standards, especially when we're kids in primary school. You're expected to know, the alphabets and then the numbers,
timetables, divisions.
Yeah, and all those things. So it's good. But I think there's just some aspects that are kind of missing, like helping kids understand exactly who they are as opposed to shutting you down. So I think that's what we experience. Like, you're made to feel like you don't have to speak back to me. You don't have to express yourself. And I find that, living in the UK, like, kids get to express themselves. They don't get shut down. And I think that's good, because then they get to build their confidence. As opposed to feeling like, I don't matter,
Yeah,
so that's one of the things with the education system.
Because obviously, in Nigeria, I don't know if it still happens to the day. There's corporal punishment, so they can bring out a cane or a stick or whatever, give you a smack on the bum or on the hand is usually where it starts off. And I remember there was this one girl that constantly got beat. Like, it's one of them where someone will say the answer before the answer. Someone will say the answer to the question, right? And then the teacher will ask you, can you repeat the answer to this question? After the person has just said the answer, and she wouldn't say the answer. Every single time, it's like she's not listening. It's like she's asking to it. And I'm not gonna lie, and I feel like the teacher enjoyed doing it because it happened so often. He just knew, I think it was a female, she knew, if I ask her this question, she's not going to answer. She does it at least once a day. It's like an everyday cycle. I was just thinking, doesn't your hand hurt? Like, Yeah, she was constantly crying. I felt bad for her. And a couple of months ago, I was looking through the pictures from, you know, back in the day, and I can see me playing in the sand, and we all have like proper, you know, photography pictures and stuff like that. Back in the day, my primary school was called Kiddies. So yeah, it was I think it only had one computer, and that was in the head teacher's office. There's one computer. This was obviously back in the day where computers in Nigeria was really not a thing. Maybe you had like one or in like a certain radius within an area. So we were really we weren't even using calculators. We were using like the manual things to move across and do all that sort. So it was crazy. So moving from primary school and higher education, did you feel like you were learning? Because like you said, you didn't feel like you were able to express because that's, you know, it's just so strict. You weren't really able to express, and creativity wasn't really a thing. The only creative time was when you were allowed to play outside, and that was it, really. Do you feel like that, did that improve as, you know, you got older, where people would be able to find themselves more and express their feelings in Nigeria?
Unfortunately, I would have to say no, because even in university, we had some very strict lecturers. Like if you ever spoke back, you could be banned from the course for the entire year. Yes, some of them are very strict. And I had this friend, she was just different. Like she liked to speak her mind and just say it how it is. But they just didn't like to hear that. So it's sad, but I think it's still the reality. I don't know if it's the same today, because I'm speaking about over 18 years ago. So maybe it's changed, but I'm telling you my experience. You still weren't able to just speak, not being rude or anything, but just telling them like things can be this way. You shouldn't do things this way.
Or I prefer it this way. Like not even asking to do a lot. Just, you know, for me, I feel like I learned better this way if you were able to, you know, do a diagram or a little illustration at least, not just going off word or going off text. That's how I felt like I learned the best, by someone, you know, visualizing it to me and be like, oh, okay, so I can see it go here and X, Y, and Z. But it was literally just one set way, and they didn't really deviate.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the way. What even I'm not talking about primary school. It's like university.
Oh, university.
Like,
damn.
Yes, the first time because I was studying communication, and if you're studying communication, you should have the different experiences of speaking, expressing yourself, your points of view, and things like that. The first one we had was a group presentation, and I tell you, in my group we're about 12. So really, if you have a group of 12, yes, we get to do the work together, but only 2 or 3 people can actually present.
Wow, it's just not feasible.
No, you just don't get the chance. You don't get the chance to show what you've got. And I think the teachers didn't see it as we're helping you to be better adults. It was more of, this is my territory. You know, I'm going to tell you how it is.
Very political.
You either get with me or you get out.
Yeah.
You know, it's quite sad. Like the first time I ever had a presentation was when I was doing my master's. And
what? The first ever presentation by yourself?
First ever presentation by myself. And then I had to figure out how to use PowerPoint, and I was so nervous. But the thing is, I had to show myself. I had to show I have the right to be here. I'm intelligent enough. And one of my classmates told me afterward, oh, I was so impressed with your presentation. And I just looked at him like, what's that supposed to mean? You know, because we all introduced ourselves, and I said where I was from. So the expectation of, she's from Nigeria. Oh, so maybe she hasn't got so much to offer. But I really put in a lot. And that is something, well, as we talk, I will talk more about this. But this is what you have to face to show people, I'm from Nigeria, but it doesn't make me less than you are.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I feel like Nigeria builds a tough skin, a resilience to a lot. Because I'm not gonna lie, making that jump from Nigeria to England, I didn't find any trouble. I was just like, oh wow, the level here isn't as much as it was in Nigeria, because in Nigeria it felt like it was so strict, so, you know, on you, so, you know, territorial. When it came to moving to the UK, and I'm seeing kids get away with murder in the classroom, and people throwing things at teachers, and people having fights with teachers. It's a whole free for all. I'm like, wow, in Nigeria, you man would just get dealt with.
Exactly. I don't even know how you were a lot younger, because I see this and I think, wow, you're able to speak to the teacher this way. And it's like you sometimes I have to like adjust myself and my reactions and stuff like that, so I don't come across as being too aggressive. So yeah.
So when I feel like there's a usual pattern where if you have the ability to, you would like to send your child overseas. I know a lot of people who are Nigerians are studying international passports for studying. For you, did you always want to go abroad and study? Was that always the plan for you, or was it just like you're going to the UK and that's that? Better education, better this, better that.
Funny enough, I always wanted to do my master's, but it was more like my parents felt if you had to travel, like my dad, he would rather spend money on an education, okay, as opposed to just sending you to the UK for vacation.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it was more like, I get a chance to travel, so why not get a master's? And then after that, I can get a job. So that was the proposition we had. Like, okay, you want to travel? Yeah, that's good. But think about what you would like to do. After university, what do you want to do? Do you want to get a master's? Then you can actually travel. If you don't want to get a master's, you just want to go on vacation.
Yeah, and I feel like the education is probably the best choice, because you can do both at that point. Like, you'll be able to, survive and get a part-time job or whatever while studying. And then in your free time or on summer vacations, then you could be like, oh, okay, cool, I'm going to save up money throughout the year. And this summer I'm going to go here. And then next summer I'm going to go there. Yeah. So was that a good experience for you then, being able to take that opportunity and go to the UK and then also open up your, horizons to other places as well?
Yeah, it was, absolutely. I was a bit worried, being away from my family. Of course, in secondary school, I went to boarding school, but I was not always by myself. So it was good. I had your family, I had your mom at the time. So it was great because I had people I could like talk to and relate with. But ultimately, I feel like I've always been like an adventurous person, or would I say a loner? Because I wasn't sad being by myself. Initially, I was once I had to travel because we have an uncle in Wakefield. So I had to travel from Wakefield, I think from London to Wakefield. And at some point, this was one of the culture shocks for me. So I had to travel by myself, like I said, but I had my suitcase with me. And at the train station, for some reason, it was a small one. They didn't have like a lift or like the escalators. So I had to like carry my suitcase by myself. And I struggled, right? So I got on the train. I struggled to put everything down, and I just got in my seat, and beside me there was a family, and I just burst into tears. This was like the first few weeks, and I just thought, shit, like if I was in Nigeria, at least one person would help me. I would be with someone that would help me.
Yeah.
But I just felt like I was by myself. So that was...
that would be like the biggest one for you, because obviously being in such a big, tight family unit, that's how most Nigerian families are. Coming to the UK, it's more like especially, by yourself and going to study, it's more like you need to fend for yourself. You need to be able to, be comfortable, doing things by yourself and not thinking, oh yeah, let me just call Yemi or let me call auntie and uncle come through. So past that, once you started going to university, and engaging with a lot of people who are local to so what university did you go to? Huddersfield University. Okay, yeah, I know a couple of people who went there. It's like it feels like a very old soul town. Like there's it feels like it's hilly. There's castles everywhere.
Well, you've got that 100% correct. Yes, it was exactly that. And I stayed in Stotts Hall, I think it was called. So it was really far from the city center, and it was like this big, massive building, and the city was quite old, I must say, because I'd been to London, I'd been to Manchester, and I've been around. So Huddersfield was different, but it was nice. I liked the fact that it was a small town. I could really go around by myself, and it wasn't
a hassle.
Too crazy.
Yeah. I feel like I really appreciate small universities. I really do, because then if you feel like you're a bigger part of it. Because if you're in a massive university like Manchester University, and there's loads of things everywhere, and you have to travel to this place to be in this campus, to go to travel like 45 minutes to be in that campus, it feels tiring. But if you can walk from one end to another in an hour, and you can see your friends along the way, see your friends in town, see your friends in the school village or something like that, it's definitely nice. I feel like that would have definitely helped you acclimatize more to the culture there.
Oh, it did.
Would you say the level was higher? Would you when people say, "Oh, you're going to England, the UK for a better education," do you feel like it's so much more better than in Nigeria, or do you think it's comparable? Because I feel like if you had the I would say the mentality of Nigerian teachers in terms of you're going to learn by force type of thing. But if they had some of that over here in the UK, but still allow you to have the freedom and expression to express yourself, but have the strict behavioral, disciplines, it would be like a match made in heaven. But obviously, nothing's perfect. So, unfortunately, it's not like that.
Yeah, I would say, because in Nigeria it's more like, so at the beginning of the session, you have to do this is expected from you. There's not a lot of interaction and expression, like I said before. So for me, I would say it's a higher standard because there's so much more expected from you individually. Like you can't just be a part of the group or just be someone in class without being noticed. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, without being like, oh, why aren't you doing X, Y, and Z like the rest of them?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like we have a group work. You're expected to do something because it could be just 2 people in that group, or like in Nigeria where we could be 20. And some people could just pay somebody else and somebody else could do their work for them. Yeah. You can't do that here. Like you are accountable for your work. You have to show what you've got. So for me, that's the highest standard because you really get to do the work. You don't get to hide behind somebody else or pay somebody else, which was what we saw in Nigeria. A lot of people did that.
Wow, I didn't know that was a thing.
Someone to get their work done.
I mean, to be fair, I shouldn't be surprised. I shouldn't be surprised. And honestly, I don't know why I said that. That was stupid. That's 100% a thing. That's 100% a thing.
It's a thing. It's sad, but it's a thing. Like, I don't know if I can say this, but even pay some lecturers to get grades.
That's it. Like, just, my son, he's struggling. How can we help him advance? Those are the terms. How can we help him advance? And then the lecturer would be like, if you could put an advance in my bank account.
I like that.
Yeah, advance in my bank account.
Well, like my parents, they never came to the university. They never saw the teacher. So I'm very happy about the kind of background I'm from. I was always accountable for my work. My parents never chased me around. I don't know. They always expected, like, I'm supposed to do this and expect the results without, I think they just felt like I've given you everything you need. So go forth and do what you have to do. Yeah. So for me, I felt I was under pressure, obviously, because it was a new environment. Obviously, my parents had paid the fees and like,
yeah. It's one of them where
there's no chance of failing.
Yeah, it's one of them where when your parent, because obviously in the UK, you're able to have a student loan. So the government will help subsidize your education when you want to go to university, and then you pay it over a period of time. But it's not as, crippling as the US system. This one's more of a drip repayment. You don't really see it come out of your paycheck. It's already taken out before you get your paycheck from your employer or someone, which is pretty good. And there's, different levels of repayment depending on how much you're earning and, if you're not earning a certain
Also, it
amount.
depends on how much you earn.
Yeah,
Okay.
if you don't
That's fair.
save, let's just say 25,000, if you never have an annual salary of 25,000, you don't for 30 years, you don't ever hit I think it's 18,000 or something like that a year. If you don't ever hit that that benchmark, so you never make any repayments after 30 years, it's just wiped out, just like that. Yeah. Yeah, when I found that out, I was like, yo, this is free money. I'm good. So, but obviously being an international student is different because, I ain't here to play no games. I need to, come and get my grade and obviously enjoy life.
Yeah.
Definitely enjoy life. But
I had a conversation with my dad before I came. Like, this was really official. Like, I had to sit down. He had to sit down and told me, like, you're going, you have to study, you have to do what you need to do.
Yeah.
He even asked me not to take a job, like, no.
wow, yeah.
Focus on what you have to do.
That's what my dad was
If you need
like.
money, I'll give you some money, and yeah.
Yeah, like, it's because I would want that as well if I'm sending my child away, and I'm obviously spending a lot of money, and I want them to have the best chance of getting the highest grade possible. I'd be like, you're going to study. Like, if you want some money to do whatever you want to do, so that, it's an agreement. You're completely dedicated to study, and then in your free time.
No excuses.
No excuses, yeah. No, I don't want to hear any complaining that.
Yeah.
But past university, what were the things you enjoyed most about living in the UK, one of the lands of freedom? What was like one of the key perks compared to Nigeria that you thought, oh yeah, living here is quite comfortable?
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, I would say food.
Food. Oh, yeah. I'm not gonna lie, the variety of food is crazy.
Yes. So, and the thing is, because there's no family, and I said, I told you, I lived in your house, and then I moved out. I got my own apartment, so I could eat whatever I wanted, which wasn't necessarily good because I had some very unhealthy habits. Like, I would eat a lot of snacks and juice and hardly drink any water.
I know that's hard. That's hard not to do.
But that was like in the beginning, that was just very irresponsible. And then after a while, obviously I changed and I realized that you have to eat more healthy. But it was just the initial thing of feeling like, oh my God, I'm in charge of everything I do. Okay. So yeah.
Yeah. Cause like,
and then, I was just going to say being able to just visit my friends, because I had a lot of friends around the UK, in London and outside, and it was just nice. Like, we could just hang out and go clubbing or just do whatever. Like, it's just
freedom. It's just freedom. Because Nigeria,
shopping. Sorry, I forgot to say
the shopping as well. Yeah,
go on.
Because in Nigeria, everything is very hierarchical. Listen to your parents. Don't disrespect us. Don't embarrass us and all that stuff. So when you're actually, so I felt that type of freedom leaving the house and going to somewhere that's away from my family and living by myself and having that independence. It must have been like that for you, but times two, because you're not in Nigeria. So though some of the boundaries around women and being distant, that women must be this, women must be that, coming to the UK where it's like you're complete free. You can do whatever, you can eat whatever you want, and there's so much variety. You're looking at snacks that you can only dream to see on TV shows. You're like, oh my God, they've got, this cake that I've seen on my favorite TV show. Oh my God, they've got this drink. Oh my God, so many Fanta flavors. And it's like you're in...
Make a wish.
You're like in Wonderland, essentially. I could really imagine that.
Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination.
And obviously, the freedom to go to the clubs, and the one thing that I really appreciated was the safety. Like, like, maybe because I'm a guy, like, I never had to worry about going out late at night and then walking home by myself. But obviously, as a female, especially in Nigeria, you really can't be doing that. We've got so many movies about that and stuff bad happening. But yeah, the safety aspect was probably one of the things I really appreciated when I moved to the UK, because we've all had stories of relatives being kidnapped or something bad happening along the way or from a party or something like that. So, feeling safe on a day-to-day basis, not having to think twice, really, was definitely something that was good about the UK for sure.
Yeah, but for me, even then, I think it just stays with you because you left very early on. And for me, I stayed till I was a lot older. So I think it just still stayed with me. I always had it at the back of my mind. If you're going anywhere, just look around. I know it's safe, but
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know. I never
And like
really
I said,
feel like 100%.
yeah, and like I said, it's different because I'm a 6 foot plus, male, so the chances are super low. But I understand it's not the same for our sisters. Our sisters is definitely not the same. So we've got the good aspects of the UK. What would you say some of the aspects you weren't necessarily prepared for being a negative? Would you say there were any?
I think for me it would be like finding a job and keeping the job. So, well, not somewhat keeping the job. I mean, once I finished from university, I got a job. But the thing is, you have a restriction because we were given like 1 year work permit, and then it was extended for another 1 year, and then obviously you have to earn a certain salary in order to have a different type of work permit. And if you don't have that, you can't stay. So it was kind of like a catch-22 for me at the time because I had a job I really liked. And the thing is, you have to earn a certain amount in order to renew your passport. And the job is like, oh, but in order to keep you, you have to have this. But I'm thinking, keep me first and then I can get this. Or you guys give me this and so I can keep this job. So I think it's just being a little bit more, I know it's difficult when it comes to immigration and things, but a little bit more lenient, I could say.
Yeah. Because, like being a British citizen from like 12 years old or something, like I didn't have to worry about that. Like I completely forget that I might relate to someone coming from Nigeria as an international student, but our struggles aren't the same struggles in a lot of ways. Because my Nigerian friends who are international students, they have to go back home in the summer or something like that because they're probably not going to work in the UK, or they don't want to work in the UK, or they can't work in the UK for certain reasons. So it's different, but obviously that's just how the world is. That's just how the world is, to be fair.
I guess, yeah. So those were some challenges. Other than that, I never felt a certain way working in the UK, or because I worked at the bank. I worked with the Royal Bank of Scotland in Manchester. And then I moved to Santander, but that was because I moved to Milton Keynes, so I had to change jobs. So I always felt okay. I never felt like I was different or whatever, You didn't
feel, do you feel like there was any workplace politics because of your color or your ethnicity? It was very welcoming?
Yeah, so I never, that's personal, that's to me. And that's another thing. So, as Nigerians, you're brought up in Nigeria and you have this level of confidence as a person because you are not seen like you're oppressed or anything. Do you understand what I mean? Like, when you're brought up in Nigeria, you just, okay, I'm Nigerian, I live here, I have my parents, we have a good life. So you have this, I think it's just a mental thing. You feel free in your mind. You don't feel like you're black or you don't feel like you're different. You just feel like I'm me and I'm good enough, But when you travel outside of Nigeria, that could happen. So this is where I'll still get to talk about more of this. You get to feel like, oh, you are this certain race. So things are a bit different for you, so. But for me, I didn't have that in here. I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah.
So I would say I never felt it. Maybe it was there, but I never really felt that.
Yeah, it wasn't like overt or anything like that. It's one of them where I feel like it can be all based on perception. If you already go into a certain industry expecting a certain type of behavior because of, their race and then your race, you might always be looking for that. But if you haven't experience that, or if that's not an everyday thing coming from Nigeria, because you're not really gonna experience racism on a covert or overt level because most people are black. So when you come into UK, you just know, if I perform, I will stay. You're not thinking about anything else. You're just thinking about the cold facts of, this is what I've been, given to the company. Because of that, I'm going to stay, and I don't really care about anything else. As long as I do my job and I'm able to get home and, earn a living, that's it. You don't really care. I feel like Nigerians have that work mentality of, I'm just coming here to do my job. If I make friends, great. If I don't, I'm not going to, be a bother or anything. I'm just going to come and then go, and that's it. But like, I feel like
go on.
I feel like a lot of people who grow up here, who are of different ethnicities, they don't have that mentality as much. It's not as prevalent. I feel like they want to come and be part of. They don't just want to come and do their thing and just go home. A lot of them want to be part of something. I feel like they're contributing to that business. I feel, especially in my generation, that's what I hear all the time, hearing from, people who are British, people who are international, and from, Germany or, somewhere in Africa. They want to feel like they're part of something. So maybe it might be a generational thing. Maybe.
Yeah, could be. So yeah, for me, even from university, I'm just an easygoing person. I was able to make friends easily. And when I started working, I made friends with my work colleagues. So do you understand what I mean? So it wasn't like, I'm just existing in the place. It's like, I'm here, I'm doing what I have to do, and I get along with everybody.
Yeah.
And I never felt like I didn't belong in the environment. So.
That's good.
Said I wake up every morning, pray to God that I'm fixing up. Hope I'm never slipping up. Hear the money calling, need my peace to start getting up. Feeling like I'm blessed, but it came with a bit of luck. Feeling like you stressed, then the tension starts to fill you up. Need an intermission, yeah, they ain't the same lane as us. Come from different sticks, yeah, they're not the same range as us. They cop the pleas and top of teas, they're not hitting range with us. Keep